Have you ever stopped to consider why the hottest part of a summer day doesn't align perfectly with the sun's peak position? It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? Noon, when the sun is at its zenith, its highest point in the sky, might seem like the obvious time for maximum heat. But the reality is, the hottest temperatures often peak hours later, typically around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. It's a phenomenon that might leave you scratching your head. It's a bit of a thermal mystery, a puzzle of heat and time, but it all comes down to understanding the intricate dance of how Earth absorbs, stores, and eventually releases the sun's radiant energy. The sun's rays begin their warming work from the moment they kiss the ground at sunrise, but the accumulation of heat is a gradual process. It doesn't build instantly like flipping a switch. At noon, we experience the most intense and direct sunlight, a solar barrage, but even then, the ground is still actively soaking up more energy from the sun than it's able to release back into the atmosphere. The temperature we perceive and feel is essentially a delicate balance, a constant tug-of-war between the incoming solar energy and the heat radiating back out from the Earth's surface. So, even after the sun has gracefully passed its highest point in the sky, the ground stubbornly continues its heating process, absorbing the lingering solar energy. That's precisely why the late afternoon often feels like standing in a giant frying pan. Earth is still diligently storing and gradually releasing the heat it has absorbed throughout the day. Therefore, it's not solely about the sun's position in the sky, but rather about the complex mechanisms by which our planet handles, stores, and releases that precious solar energy. The sun may indeed be the star of the show, the primary energy source, but it's Earth's characteristic slow and steady heat-up that ultimately dictates and creates those sweltering, unforgettable afternoons. So, the next time you find yourself sweating profusely at 4 p.m. on a summer afternoon, just remember, it's not just discomfort, it's physics elegantly in action, a testament to the Earth's thermal inertia. As the first light of dawn kisses the horizon, painting the sky with vibrant hues, the Earth is generally at its coolest point in the daily cycle. It's a time when the residual chill of the night still lingers in the air. This is because, throughout the long night, our planet has been radiating heat back into the vast expanse of space, slowly shedding the warmth it absorbed during the day. But as the sun finally rises, peeking over the horizon, a new chapter begins in Earth's daily thermal story. Its rays, initially striking the ground at a very low angle, are spread out over a larger surface area, meaning the warming process starts slowly and gently. The sun's energy is just beginning to make its presence felt. It's the ground, not the air above it, that initially absorbs the vast majority of the sun's incoming energy. The Earth acts like a giant sponge, soaking up the sun's rays. As the sun steadily climbs higher in the sky, its rays strike the surface at an increasingly direct angle, becoming more concentrated and intense. This means the ground heats up at an accelerated rate, storing more and more thermal energy. The air, in turn, warms up next, through contact with the heated ground and convection. But the air temperature always lags noticeably behind the ground temperature, playing catch-up throughout the morning. By noon, with the sun reaching its highest point in the sky, its energy is at its most intense. However, the ground is still primarily in heat absorption mode, continuing to soak up the sun's radiation. As a result, the temperature continues its steady climb, because the Earth is still absorbing significantly more energy from the sun than it is radiating back out into the atmosphere. It's a slow, gradual and steady buildup of heat, a process that takes time. Think of it like preheating an oven. It takes a while to reach the desired temperature, so even at noon the real heat of the day is still on its way, building beneath the surface. Noon is just the halfway point, the peak of solar intensity, in the overall process of the day's warming cycle. The hottest part of the day is yet to come. Let's try to visualize the Earth in a way that makes its warming process a bit easier to grasp. Imagine our planet as a heavy cast-iron frying pan sitting on a stove. A solid, substantial pan that takes a while to heat up but also holds on to heat effectively. Now, when you turn the burner to high, simulating the sun's energy, the pan doesn't get hot instantly. It requires time and energy to begin feeling the warmth. It takes time for the metal to absorb the heat from the burner and distribute it evenly across the surface. At noon, when the sun is at its highest point, it's like having the burner on full blast, pouring energy onto the Earth. But even then, the Earth is still heating up, gradually increasing in temperature. Even after noon, the sun's energy continues to pour in, relentlessly adding to the heat already absorbed. And the ground, much like the frying pan, keeps storing that energy, trapping it within its layers. The hottest moment of the day doesn't coincide with the sun's peak, it comes later in the afternoon. Just like the pan reaches its peak temperature only after the burner has been on for a significant amount of time, allowing the heat to fully saturate the metal. The ground, with its varied composition, the vast oceans, absorbing and circulating heat, and even the concrete buildings in our cities, all act as heat reservoirs, holding on to the sun's energy. These reservoirs slowly release their warmth into the air, contributing to the overall temperature. The temperature peaks, reaching its highest point, when the amount of energy coming in from the sun finally balances out with the amount of energy radiating back out into space. That's precisely why the late afternoon tends to be the hottest part of the day. It represents the tipping point, the moment of equilibrium in the day's heat exchange. Only when the sun begins to dip lower in the sky, its intensity waning, does the Earth finally start to cool down, releasing the stored heat. Until that moment arrives, the heat continues to accumulate, building upon itself, creating the warmth we feel throughout the day. Think of the Earth's heat like filling a bathtub. The sun is the faucet, and space is the drain. After noon, the sun's faucet is still running strong, so more heat is coming in than going out. The ground keeps absorbing and releasing heat, warming the air above. This creates a lag. The hottest time is after the sun's peak, when the heat bank account is fullest. The peak temperature hits when incoming and outgoing energy finally balance. After that, the Earth starts to cool as the sun drops lower. That's why the late afternoon is the true heat champion. So, the late afternoon heat is all about Earth's slow response to the sun's energy. The ground and water act like giant batteries, storing heat all day and releasing it into the air. The hottest moment comes when the stored heat and incoming sunlight finally balance out, usually mid to late afternoon. After that, the planet starts to cool as night approaches. This lag happens on a seasonal scale too. The hottest months follow the longest days. Earth's slow heat-up explains both summer afternoons and why July and August are hotter than June. So next time you're sweating at 3 p.m., remember, it's not just the sun, it's the science of heat in action. Science is everywhere, especially in the summer sun.